Good morning all, it's Sabrina, and today's video I'm going to be doing a day in the life as an au pair in Venice, Italy. So I've been living here in Venice and working as an au pair for about 2 months now, and I pretty much have a routine down. So today I'm going to show you that routine so you can get an idea of what it's like if you're looking into being an au pair, maybe being an au pair in Venice or just in Italy in general. 2 things you should know about this video. 1, I am going to jam pack it full of lots of different information on what it's like to be an au pair in general. And 2, I'm not going to introduce you to the children that I work for. When I'm with them, it's my time to be with them, not make videos. And I just don't want to put their lives out on the internet like that because it's their life, not mine, and I want to be respectful of that. So with that being said, I'm gonna get ready for the day and I'll see you in a bit. Hey again, so I've showered and done my daily routine. I just have to finish getting dressed and head downstairs to make some coffee for breakfast. Now it's about 9 o'clock for me. I do tend to sleep in during the weekdays, probably till 9 or sometimes 10 before getting up to start my day, depending on what time I went to bed the night before. Now that is a little bit different than a lot of au pair schedules. Normally, if you're an au pair, part of your daily routine will be to get up, go wake up the kids, get them ready for the day, help make them breakfast, and either send them off to school or bring them off to school. When you are looking for a job as an au pair, one of the things you're going to be looking out for is what is your daily routine? What is your weekly schedule going to look like? So with that being said, let's go make some coffee.
I do make coffee almost every morning, sometimes twice a day. I am definitely a coffee addict. I do miss the coffee back in the States because it's just different than it is here. I do love going out for a coffee. It's super cheap just to get a cappuccino in Venice, just $1.50 or €3 with a croissant, but it does add up, so I try to only go out a couple times a week. On the days that I do sleep in, the coffee shops are either sold out of the good croissants by the time I get up and going, or have started selling pizza and spritz for lunch, so it's nice to have access to a coffee machine.
Okay, so I got my coffee, most important part of the day. I'll probably just have some yogurt and a banana for breakfast, and then I'm actually gonna head up onto the terrace that I have access to do a little bit of studying for the day. Why don't we take a walk out there and I can show you.
So this is the terrace that I have access to. It is connected to my room, and I have spent a lot of time up here, specifically a lot of time in order to study, so let's get to it. After about a week of moving to Venice, I was part of an intensive language course in order to learn Italian. My host parents set me up with it, and it was really, really helpful. I took it for about 4 weeks. It was a Monday through Friday deal for 3 hours a day. Then after the course was over, I would come home, I'd come up to the terrace, and I'd study up here for another hour or sometimes 2, which I know may seem a little bit overboard, but I really wanted to learn. Not only because I just moved to a new country and I wanted to learn their language, but my biggest incentive was that the kids that I work with only speak Italian. So the more Italian I could speak, the more I could understand them for safety reasons and day-to-day life reasons, but also to help them improve their English through basic translations when needed. If you are an au pair heading to a new country whose language is different than your own, I definitely suggest joining a language course not only to learn the language, but because it's a good way to meet people and make friends. So anyway, now I try to study like this every 3 or 4 days, going over notes and writing out phrases and words. Honestly, it's getting harder and harder to want to study though, because since everybody in Venice speaks English, when I attempt to speak Italian, they realize I'm not a native speaker and they just respond in English.
Okay, so it's been about 45 minutes studying. I am going to go inside and get ready and get dressed because it's getting colder and colder out here, and then we're gonna head out and see the sights. Okay, so I'm ready to go. I'm definitely wearing jeans and boots today, and I'm gonna grab a sweatshirt before I leave because it is relatively chilly outside. It makes sense that it's getting chillier because in a couple of days it will be November, but I will say just yesterday I was in shorts because it was super nice outside. So if you're packing to come to Venice, I will say definitely bring gear for all types of seasons. So I'm gonna get a sweatshirt and we're gonna head out there and see the sights.
Okay, so I am stopped
kind of on the side of the bridge, but I will say I never stop and sit on the bridges. You know, the tourists and the locals from the people who are sitting on the bridges. It's really inconvenient. And it's really rather rude because when you're sitting on the bridge eating pizza or doing whatever you're doing, you're taking up a lot of space for people to get up and get down, and a lot of people are rushing by trying to get to work because this is their lifestyle and they live here. You pretty much can walk everywhere. I walk a lot during my free time, honestly, because there's not too much else to do. But it's true, I spend hours, at least an hour or two each day, just walking around the city and seeing what I can find and checking out new places.
So while we're walking around, let's discuss some pros and cons. There are a ton of pros and cons to living in Venice and being an au pair, but for time's sake, I'm going to share my top for each. When it comes to living in Venice, the biggest pro would be that everywhere is walkable. It may not be all in one place, like a one-stop shopping deal like Walmart, but there's no need to drive 10 miles down the road to get groceries or something from the pharmacy because you can just walk 10 minutes to pick it up. The biggest con of living here would be that people seem to have no sense of spatial awareness. A lot of alleys are small and people will stop in the middle of them to check their phone, or they'll walk side by side with their friend and not move out of the way to let people pass. They stop in large groups to pull out a map while people are trying to get by them, and it's super, super frustrating. And yes, I know they're on vacation, but while it's a tourist hotspot here, people also live and work here, and I personally hate being late for work because the 20 people in front of me need to stop and get a photo. Now, when it comes to being an au pair here, the biggest pro would be my host family. I really, really like them. They're super kind. We get along really well. In general, as an au pair, you feel like you're in some ways a part of the family you are with. You get to know them and their culture and their lifestyle and the real non-touristy side of the places that you're living. You aren't just a tourist anymore. You get a different understanding of what it's like to be a local. The biggest con, I would say, it would definitely be the language barrier with the children. The idea is that I don't speak Italian, they don't speak English, and this way we both have to learn each other's language in order to communicate. One thing that is popular in au pair jobs, specifically in Europe, is that they want their kids to learn English, and this system can work really well. However, I find that sometimes, even if I can tell they understand me, they use the excuse that we don't speak the same language, so they feel like they can get away with a lot of things. During the times when they're tired or upset or emotional, they may rattle off in Italian using a lot of words that I just don't know, so they can't really tell me why they're mad or what happened if they get hurt. Since this is the case, the parents have to step in a lot, especially for disciplinary issues. It's also hard to improve my Italian and understand them because they're kids, so they don't always speak in clear and concise ways or use proper terms for things. This is something I know is going to get better over time as the year goes, but it's definitely slow going. I will say that I am really proud of them and how much they've picked up and learned so far.
Okay, so we are going to head over to Rialto and check out the other side of the island just for a little bit. I will say I don't end up there often. I usually avoid it like the plague Friday, Saturday, and Sunday because it's always packed with tourists. But I do cross the bridge often, one, because I don't really use the boat system too much. Two, my favorite gelato shop is on the other side of the island, so we're definitely going to stop there. I will show you that and we'll check that out.
Now, of course, on the way to the Rialto, I can never resist stopping by the market.
One of my favorite places here is the market, mainly because I like to check out the different foods that people normally eat or the local produce. It's always fresh, it's always delicious, or it might be something strange to you. One of my recommendations, whatever country you go to, whatever country I always go to, I always try to go to the local farmers market, and you can find some pretty cool things. So it's past noon and I should have lunch first, but I'm not going to. We're going to go stop at my favorite gelato spot and get some ice cream.
This is my favorite gelato spot. I have tried tons of gelato shops, some recommended to me, some I randomly found, and some do come close to this, but this one tops it for me. It is definitely easy to find. It's right over the Rialto Bridge. It's in a tourist hotspot, so there's usually a very long line. It's also not the cheapest, but it's super worth it.
There has never not been a line when I've been there, so I'm pumped. So I'm gonna eat this and I'll see you in a little bit.
Okay, it is lunchtime, so we are going to go to my favorite place to eat. It's pretty much right on the other side of the Rialto. I actually don't eat out too much, probably 3 times a week tops, but this is my favorite place to get pasta. There are several shops just like this you can find, and the pasta is made fresh, and it is so good. When you are an au pair, if you are eating out, that's completely on you to cover any lunch or dinners out or coffee or pastries. But when it comes to your normal meals, you will either eat with a family, have access to food, or groceries will be provided for you. Personally, I eat dinner with my host family, and while I am invited over for lunch, I usually just get cheap groceries and eat at home. So while I do walk a ton, I never end up going in a straight line, and I tend to end up everywhere, which is pretty much the point. I try to walk new streets every day and basically see as much as I can. In reality, if I'm walking straight to the Rialto Bridge from my house, it takes about 10 to 15 minutes to get to it, depending on how fast you walk.
Okay, so it is almost 2 o'clock, so I am heading home. I am meeting up with my family today at 3:45-ish. So I'm going to go home and chill out and relax and give you a little bit of more information before I head to work tonight.
These bulletin boards and flyers are posted in tons of places all around the city. When I see them, I always stop to see if there are any events going on in the community or classes that I may be interested in. I've not found anything so far, but I'm here for a whole year, so there is time to figure something out.
Okay, so I'm home, and one thing I always forget is no matter how cold it is in the morning, it always warms up by the afternoon. So it's really hot now. I'm gonna change, relax a bit, and then come back to give you guys some more information. Okay, so I just kind of spent the last hour just on my computer, on TikTok, just hanging out and relaxing. I am gonna be heading out here in about 15 to 20 minutes. I'm gonna meet one of the parents at school to pick up the kids. Normally my daily routine is Monday through Friday, anywhere between 3:30 and 4:30. I go pick up the kids. We head home. On the way, we might stop at one of the squares. It's really common for kids in Venice to stop and play with their schoolmates in the squares for an hour, maybe 2. Then after that, we'll head home. They will shower. I'll help them out with washing and changing and getting ready for bed. We might play games with their toys or read a book, watch a movie. We'll have dinner, maybe watch a little bit of more TV, and then they'll head to bed and I'll leave around 9. So Monday through Friday, I usually work about 5 hours in the evenings after school. And then I also work on Saturdays. I usually start around 10 o'clock on Saturdays with the family. And that's just a day where maybe we go out for ice cream or go on a walk or play with toys or watch a film. Pretty much anything can happen on a Saturday. It's a little bit like a free-for-all. I help when I can, but I normally don't do any of the cleaning or cooking. My job is just to spend time with the girls and watch them so that their parents can get the errands done, or they can get their work done while their kids are being taken care of. And now and then I may do some grocery shopping to help them out with that, or walk or spend time with the animals, the dogs as well. So with that, I'm going to get dressed. I'm gonna head off and see the kids, and then I'm gonna see you when my day is done to give you a little bit, again, more information.
So I do not live with my host family. Every au pair job comes with a different living situation depending on what the family's lifestyle is, or properties they own, or what their house is like. Mine specifically is that I live about 5 minutes away from my host family. I have my own room, bathroom, access to my terrace, basically everything I need. I'm not going to do a room tour because I doubt it would be helpful or very interesting, even though it's a really nice setup and I very much appreciate it.
So I am back in my room. It is a little bit after 9. I ended a little bit later than I normally do today, but that's sometimes kind of usual in the life of an au pair. Sometimes I might get a text message and I don't need to be there for a couple extra hours, meaning I have a little bit more time to myself. Sometimes things happen and I'm needed a little bit earlier or a little bit later. So that pretty much wraps up this video. I hope I was able to answer some questions about being an au pair, give you some insight into what a day in the life of an au pair in Venice is like. I am planning on making several more videos about the pros and cons of au pairing, how to get a job as an au pair, etc., etc. And I'm also currently working on a video about what it's like to actually live in Venice, not just as an au pair, but in general. So if you're interested in any of that, please feel free to subscribe or check back for later videos. If you are planning to be an au pair or moving to Venice or moving to Italy, I hope you find a wonderful opportunity and I hope you have an amazing time. Until next time, I hope this helps.